then you can post to the, you know.
Absolutely.
That's kind of things I asked, you know, like when you share the, you know. Okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point too, of those top 10 stats that everybody should know, just so that you have kind of a baseline. It's not going to be true for every instance for your organization, but it kind of gives you a sense of, okay, here's where we're at. We're not, if you're in the 90% bounce rate, then you know something may not be right. But if it's really low, you can go, wow, we're doing pretty good. Like, you can try to figure that out too. But you'll see that those numbers change depending on the season too. So it's kind of like a guessing game in some ways. I mean, like, every statistic can be measured against something else, but is it really worth measuring? I don't know. So you have to kind of dig into it, and your research background obviously lets you kind of think about that in a different way than maybe some of us
I
do
mean,
too.
you are changing the age, you know, like people who are coming to your site maybe
Yeah.
a certain age, but those are aging. You want to get the new people to come to your page, so the new age will be coming. So that's kind of your bouncing is changing, or other values or measures. So.
Yeah, so our site now is only, I'd say 20-something% coming mobile.
Yeah,
right?
the mobile is increasing.
It's
right?
increasing,
Yeah,
but it's still only
still
20-something%, you know, and 50+% desktop or laptop or whatever. So, you know, the audience is definitely increasing, but, you know, we're making a move now to go to responsive design,
Yeah,
of course. But at the same time, you
But
know, it's sort of like...
difficult because if you cannot, you know, it's different, you know, designs.
And I learned in Drupal that there's actually a template theme that's responsive design that you can apply to your site if you have a Drupal site. And, you know, I'm sure WordPress and others, you know, have a similar thing. So it may not be like a huge makeover depending on the platform that you have your site on.
Yeah. Tina, you had a question too?
Yeah, so when you had the dashboard up and you have basically the different types of reports,
Yeah.
you're exporting that? Is that being exported to your email directly?
Yeah, so I can take any of these actually, and see how you've got this export button.
Okay.
So you can export it to any file type that's here. So you've got CSV, you've got Excel, you've got even Google Sheets, PDF, or you can have it emailed to yourself.
That's what I want.
And if you email it, it still gives you the option to choose what type
format.
of format you want. And so I don't have to remember to send these out to my executive staff monthly, because I can just send it to them as an attachment, and it just goes. So I can choose the frequency here, and then when it goes, and then you can add as many people as you want to send that out to.
Do you find that you prefer to do it like as a PDF so nobody can play with it?
Well,
Or as a Excel, typically?
Typically for them, I send it as a PDF, just because they want to look at the hard numbers. They don't necessarily care to mess with it. I will say it's not a beautiful export. You know, they probably would like me to play with it a little bit before I send it to them, but for what it's worth, they at least get the top pieces of information that they're looking for and can kind of make some executive decisions on content or creating content based on what I send to them.
And do you also just kind of send it to yourself just to, as a reminder?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
So you can do that easily. And any page, you'll see it up here at the top. So you've got email exports. Your dashboards are the same way. So if I were to go out with this monthly stats, I can share it. I can email it. I can export it. Here you've got the PDF only, but you can email it. Just because it's got multiple things inside of it, can't create multiple sheets. So.
And each dashboard's considered like a different type of report, different load.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
So you got this one too. This one's got visits and bounce rates and top landing pages. It's just a slightly different thing, but play out with those, the dashboard junkie. There's lots there. Yeah.
Could you touch on goals and setting up goals? Because that's something we've just sort of graduated to.
Yeah. We're kind of getting there ourselves, so I've been tinkering a bit since I was at the N10 conference in April. I played a little bit with it. None of them are totally set up here. I don't even know if I've got a fully functioning one here. I've been playing in a different environment, but only so I didn't screw up since I was testing it out. Let me see if I got it here. You go down to conversions, I think is where it's at. Under conversions, you've got goals. And so, I think this is where I was tinkering. But you basically, you set up a goal, so it might be like your donation page, right? So a goal is a way for you to track whether or not someone's completed a cycle. So you might want to track how many people have actually made it to that thank you page. So it might be that you want them to get to the donation page and then obviously proceed through to that thank you page. So you set it up through here and you select the, it will tell you how many people have actually completed it. And then you can also choose like other values that go along with it. And so we've got webinar purchases, this is one that I was playing with. But the, just trying to see whether or not people were actually going through with the registration page. I think it's a little unique for us because the way that Drupal, we've got customized registration forms, and so I can't quite figure out how to get the Google code onto those forms for our purpose. So it's been a little bit more complicated than I would have liked it to have been. But it's certainly a thing that makes it easy for people to, once you've got the code installed, it'll start tracking it just like everything else. And so you'll be able to see those conversions from beginning to end on a daily and monthly basis. You can look at it over time. I know that Yasena does a specific training on that too, so that's a good resource for that.
What does?
Yasena
Okay.
Silver Belt, yeah. So she's got one on her site, I think, that she walks you through.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that before when we said the exit page. We had just set up the thank you page on our donation form as one of the goals, that they reach that page. Now, you know, and also, you know, I think as far as, you know, like our science site would be a great example of, they came to the site and they spent 4 or 5 minutes there and they really love the content and it's awesome. And maybe they don't donate that day or maybe whatever, but I still think, you know, we've reached our goal. So there's different goals for different times, and just because they're not, you know, running to make a donation, you know, all the time or on a regular basis, you know, that's why obviously you would have different goals.
Well, and the goal could be that they're downloading a product or downloading a white paper or something, whatever that might be. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary type thing either. It could be something else.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, if you go to your main dashboard, it'll show you like average time on site or average time on page. It's really important that you don't take that number at face value and that you look at your actual pages and that sort of thing. Our science site, we have a lot of pages that are sort of static institutional things, and then we have weekly fresh content that's uploaded that has videos embedded. Well, if the video is 5 minutes long and people are spending 5 minutes on that page on average, then we're doing our job. They're sitting there and they're watching the whole video.
Yeah.
But our average time on site is much lower because people are going to the institutional pages too and then leaving quickly. So it is really important that you don't take your general site information too much at face value. You really want to drill down and look at what's happening at the page level.
Exactly. Yeah, I would second that.
We were having a lot of problems, well, not problems, but having a lot of the bots going through, and we wanted to figure out the number of people or users without the bots. So somebody set up for us, they estimated that if they were there longer than 10 seconds, then they were a human being.
So, real person.
So one of our goals is human people versus the, you know,
something passing through. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it too. All right, any other specific questions?
Good job.
Yeah. There's a lot there. I cannot nearly cover it in an hour, but hopefully that helped a bit. And, you know, I would love to go deeper, especially around the goal tracking too. I think that's something that it's a nice next fluid step. So next month we meet, oh gosh, what date is it? We always meet the third Wednesday, okay? So pull out your calendar. It's the third Wednesday, the 19th, thank you. And we will be talking about actually how to do some of this audio stuff that Mark's been doing. He helped us at the conference, and he's done this a couple times where he set up the audio for us and helped us record so that people can go back and listen to some of this. And he's going to have some of his great equipment out here for us to play with, which is very generous of him to do. So we'll have several of these things set up so people can practice and try it out. We had the the different pieces set up at the conference, which I thought was neat. We kind of had an interview room, and I think it was neat for people to see that it's not necessarily a scary topic, that you can definitely do it easily, and he's got a couple ways to show us whether to do it budget-mindedly or maybe the professional route if you choose to do that too. But thank y'all for coming tonight.
Are you still uploading interviews?
They're all uploaded now.
That's
Okay,
great.
well, there were 2 posts today on YouTube.
Right, those are the last 2.
Oh, those are the last
two,
2?
I apologize, I didn't get
Okay.
to until today. I saw they were
Those were
If
great.
anyone wants to see some of the toys I have, some are sitting up there in the bag right there.
Good job.